Um, Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to wherever you're coming from. I was asked to talk about peer pressure and how it shapes us as adults. This is from my last live stream that I did. Basically, one of the people in the chat asked me to talk about this. Mm, that bagel is so good. Excuse me. Mm, I might as well eat for a few seconds. But yeah, peer pressure doesn't exist, I believe, as an adult. Excuse me for the mukbanging. I also got to eat too. So that's what's happening too right now. Mm. Molly one crazy Dolly. What's up? I've been seeing you everywhere. Hopefully Chicago is good for you. You know? One of the shitty miracles. Mm. Forgive me. I'm eating my little eat on. I didn't eat breakfast yet. I'm basically having a bagel with cream cheese and what is this? Um, and squid. Love in Chicago? That's cool, Molly Dolly. Nothing wrong with that. Mm. Hopefully Chicago is loving you back. Mm. You're an American now. That's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. Mm. I'm tired by that. I'm going in. I'm going in right now. But I'm going to take some time out to talk about peer pressure, how it shapes us as adults. Mm. This bagel is so good. I gotta put more octopus or whatever on my bagels next time. Mm. Three people. Mm. And that coffee is on fleek right now. I gotta take another bite of this bagel and then I'm gonna get into this. Mm. 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 Oh my god. I'm sorry. I, I didn't expect this to be this good on this morning. But yeah, forgive me if I'm all over the place. But I'm here right now. So what I'm saying is peer pressure. I was actually talking about peer pressure. And I thought about this because, a lot of kids are affected by how things transform or, things transpire, in their early years, in their younger years. Kids going through high school, kids going through, middle school, elementary school, and things like that. Thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. So, what is this? First off, as adults, there's no such thing as peer pressure. Either you're confident in yourself or you're not. But the things that happen in our younger years shape who we are. They determine whether or not we become the leader, the follower, the spectator. It's like lead, follow, get out the way. So when it comes to peer pressure, um, how it affects us is, our thoughts, our insecurities. It either heightens them or, it lessens them. We learn to face, our bullies and stuff like that. If you don't learn to face these challenges now, when you're a child or whatever, and I'm speaking in retrospect, speaking in retrospect, looking at the kids now and whatnot, or, even back then, if you don't learn to face and stand up to the challenges that you face, when you're younger, if you don't go through the life lessons and learn those things when you're younger, it makes it more challenging when you become an adult because now these particular things that you're trying to learn, or these things that you're trying to, do in life, you haven't overcome yet. You haven't learned how to deal with anxiety, or maybe it's something with depression. Hey, what's going on, Yas Poet? Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you for stopping by, and coming through the chat, even if it's for a second. Mm-hmm. Mm. But I had to take a bite. I had to take the time out to do that. Oh, some disinfectant wipes. I need those disinfectant wipes. I'm glad they're here. Because I want to have my hands clean. I don't want to be too messy. But anyway, like I was saying, it comes down to, when it's peer pressure. What's going on, Lulu? When it's peer pressure shapes the type of adult you'll become and how you deal with the issues and what you're willing to face. Sometimes people have, a good, peer group around them to where they encourage you. They lift you up, they build you up. You know, it can make you weaker as a person if you never face the challenges of bullying, of teasing, and different types of things. Yeah. No, sorry about that, Yas poet. Yeah, I was hungry too. Yeah, I mean, it's a peer pressure is something where it tests you. It shows you who you are in the moment. It lets you know, what you will be susceptible to, what you won't be susceptible to, even now. As an adult. As opposed to like I said back then. There's things that you can overcome. It will either make you into the person that you need to be, or it will break you down and it will turn you into somebody who's a weaker version of what you should be. Like I said, depending on what's going on. Like I said, I'm not trying to get too into specifics, but I mean, these are issues of drugs, issues of sexuality, even things with religion. It's like, the pressure to conform and whatnot. It shows who you are. If you're somebody who becomes, a conformist, early on in life, then that may be something that happens and you have to deal with later on in life. It's not to say that you can't, change and break out of that stuff as you get older, but it becomes more challenging as you get older to deal with those insecurities or those flaws or those faults that you've had when you were younger. So that's why I tell the young kids out there, don't be afraid to go through these issues now when you're in your teens, when you're in your adolescent years, when you're a child and stuff like that, because what happens with it is that that's the time to learn and make the mistakes. That's the time to go through the challenges. That's the time to really, fall flat on your face and learn to get back up. Because as you get older, it becomes more challenging. As you get older, people are less sympathetic towards you. They're less empathetic towards you. So, when you're younger, you want to face these challenges. And some of the ways you face the challenges is by not being afraid to step out and stand as an individual. What's up, Soulless Trench Coat? I appreciate you for coming through. I think peer pressure, as for the youth, for the youngins, is a test. Is a test of will. Is a test of character. What's going on, bro, man? From fifth floor. I used to live on the fifth floor. To tell you the truth, I don't live on the fifth floor now. But thank you for coming through, Slayer. Who knows? Maybe you've been stalking me. Wow. Oh, you remember he was Guts. There you go. He changed his name. But yeah, I think when it comes to, those particular type of things, sometimes as adults we struggle with issues that we've never faced, issues with, different anxiety or insecurities we may have, be it about weight or, sexuality or whatever the case may be, our financial background, where we come from, economically, socially, issues of racism and stuff like that. So when you succumb to the peer pressure to conform to what's acceptable, at a young age, it becomes even more increasingly a problem as you get older, because now you're fighting with these things and sometimes you don't even realize that these things started earlier on. They started, way before you even understood or knew what these issues were about. So it's important, to tell the truth. Hey, what's up, Sugar Bay? Thank you for coming through. I think this is something important to tell the kids, that it's okay to be your own individual. It's okay to think with your own mind. It's okay not to follow the crowd. It's okay, to just stand alone, and sometimes. I'm not saying you don't work with people and, do things that are uplifting and upbuilding, but sometimes you have to stand alone from the crowd because, people are doing things that are not, conducive to life, that are not, upright. It's like, be it somebody trying to pressure you to conform to drug use, or somebody pressuring you to have sex before you're ready to have sex, or somebody trying to get you to conform to a certain religion or way of life. It's challenging because sometimes the peer pressure can come from family members and stuff like that. You one of my key individuals I might so. I appreciate that, Slayer. I appreciate that. Oh, what's up, Crimson Fantasy? I appreciate you for coming through. I appreciate all you folks for being in here. Sugar Bay, Crimson Fantasy, Molly, 1K Dolly, Lulu, love you. Anybody lurking in the background, I love my lurkers. I got to do a live stream for the lurkers. Ooh, you love the lurkers. Ooh, the lurkers. Let me take a sip of coffee on the lurkers. That was for the lurkers. But anyway, nah, seriously though. Yeah. Now, when it comes to peer pressure, this is for the kids. Like I said, this is something somebody asked me to talk about this. This is something that if any of you out there, because I know all of you are, around children of some age or whatever, like I said, especially if you ain't got nothing, no other outstanding issues, we're gonna leave that a little stuff. Hashtag love the lurkers. There you go. If you're around children of any type, of any age group, or the voice sample on the track for the yeah, no, you could use that. You could use that Crimson Fantasy. You can use that, for the lurkers. There you go. Take it, use it. You got my permission, Crimson Fantasy for the lurkers. But anyway, that's funny. Another collaboration for the lurkers. There you go. We need to do a song. We could do a song about that Crimson Fantasy. Let me know. Write a verse, for the lurkers. Saying, hi to the lurkers. For the lurkers. The lurkers remix. There you go. That's a song. That's a collaboration. A collaboration is born. Let me know, Crimson Fantasy. We could do a song for the lurkers. I'm making a rap with that. There you go. Yeah. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can do it for the lurkers. This is for the lurkers. There's that. We know you lurking. Yeah. Nah. Listen, me and Crimson Fantasy. I'm gonna write a verse. Crimson Fantasy, and then we'll see what happens for the lurkers. This. Oh my God. Anyway, back to what I said. Woo! There you go, Molly. 1K Dolly. Yeah. Peer pressure. It's important for these kids for you to understand that you got to keep on living, man. Because when you get older, and a lot of us in this chat, all of us in this chat know that if you can survive these younger years, a community clap for the lurkers. There you go. Listen, whoever wants to jump on the lurker song, let Crimson Fantasy know. Send your verses to Crimson Fantasy. This is for the lurkers, But anyway, when it comes to peer pressure for the kids out there, if any youngins, anybody hears this, it's important to live your life and not be pressured by the crowd, because the reality of it is that there's a lot of people out there, especially at a young age, young kids out there don't even know who they are. So there's people trying to pressure you based on, different standards of conformity, that they think you should do because, you want to be popular and cool and stuff like that. In school, I was the type of person who hung out with everybody. I hung out with the cool kids. I hung out with the weirdos. I hung out with the nerds. I hung out with the sexy girls. I didn't hugged out with them. I'm pressured to eat a bagel. Yeah. Well, listen, you should eat a bagel, but not because I'm pressuring you. Not because you see Mel biting into the bagel. For the lurkers. Yeah. Me and Crimson Fantasy gonna do it for the lurkers. Watch. It's coming. We could do a trap, and we could do a remix. Watch. We're not playing Crimson. We're gonna do a collaboration for the lurkers. 1 minute. The hair's not polite to talk when you chew. It needs to be seen. Yeah. Well, yeah. You should eat a bagel because you want to, though. But yeah, me back in high school, back in elementary, junior high, whatever the case, I hung out with some of everybody. I fought with some of everybody, and you begin to realize that it's okay sometimes to stand on your own. Sometimes it's okay to be your own individual and learn to find yourself and learn yourself, and not be so caught up in trying to fit in and be popular, and a follower and whatnot. Sometimes you have to follow certain situations because you may not be right in the way that you're going, but that's not every time. I do appreciate, and as a teenager until I came on here, YouTube, I have met some childish adults. Well, here's the thing, Lulu. Peer pressure does end when you're a teenager. It does. What you're seeing now, people may be acting childish, but it's like I was taught by the old timers. There's no such thing as peer pressure as you get older. Being popular is overrated. Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. Soulless Trenchcoat. Yeah. Being peer pressure ends in your teenage years because of this. When you become an adult, it boils down to you either have the confidence in yourself or you don't. I have peer pressure to be a role model on YouTube. I struggle with it having some younger subs. Well, you can't be peer pressured, Crimson Fantasy, because you know what it is. You understand the concept. You're aware of the adulthood. There's not a lot of people over us, We're not going to the second period and lunch. There's not lunchroom. It's not like YouTubers sitting around making fun of you and you see them in your face and all that other stuff. People come to live streams and make videos and do stupid stuff like that, but it's not like you have to see the YouTubers, everywhere and they talking about you and you got to be susceptible to that. I tell anybody that's going through any nonsense, any drama on YouTube, what the best part about it is? The best part is that, you know, you could turn it off. You could log off. Yeah, I feel obligated. Better choice of words. I mean, you can feel obligated, Crimson Fantasy, but there's no peer pressure because you're a grown man. You're a grown man. It's not, nobody's sitting there pressuring you to do it. It's either people manipulating you or trying to take advantage of you. But that comes down to issues of confidence. After you move to a certain point where you can understand and comprehend the idea of peer pressure versus the idea of whether or not you have confidence in yourself or not, that's a different realm. And if people want to act childish and not grow up, that's on them. But at the same time, it's still a situation where you're not confident because you're an adult. You have at least the ability to understand the difference between being pressured and, as a child in that construct, as opposed to just, allowing people to come in there and say stuff to you. I take it with a grain of salt, but I know what I need to do in the end of the day. Yeah, yeah, no, it's like that. Mom's always told me it's okay to separate yourself from the crowd and be different. That way you can present a different point of view. Yes, you can. I agree with that, Slayer. And I understand where you're coming from too as well, Crimson Fantasy. That's what it is. It is a situation where, as adults, we begin to learn ourselves and have the ability to know ourselves more. The reason that is peer pressure, at least I believe when you're younger, is because when you're in school, yeah, you don't entertain that foolishness, Lulu. The reason I believe it's peer pressure when you're younger because you're in school. When you're in school and you're obligated to go to school and you have to deal with these classmates and stuff like that, it can be pressure because you're going through, these classes and these emotions and yeah, you have no bagels. I'm sorry to hear that, Molly Dolly. I wish I can get you a bagel. I really do. I'm saying? I would even pay for your bagel. I like to tell myself, yes, I don't want to give my viewers what they want, but at the end of the day, I'm doing this for me. Yeah, well, it's a balance, Soulless Trench Coat. You got to balance that. You got to do you. But yeah, it comes to a point where, what, for the youth, you understand that it's a temporary situation when you're in high school, when you're in junior high school, or like I said, that I guess primary school or whatever you want to call it. I forget what they call it overseas and stuff like that. But the different grades that people go through, it's important to understand that you're getting to know yourself, and the people that are pressuring you are getting to know themselves as well. And nobody has all the answers. Shoot, a lot of us adults, when we become adults, don't have the answers. We still struggling with things that we probably dealt with from youth, and sometimes you don't overcome certain issues that you may have had in high school or school, primary school. There you go. Until you get older, until you get much older. So, it's a situation where you realize that it's okay to be different. It's okay not to fit in. It's okay to be your own person. It's okay to, dress funny. A lot of us have dressed funny. A lot of us have, done stupid stuff and whatnot, things that we probably wish that we could take back, looking back in pictures and stuff. When I had hair, I even dyed my hair one time, what I'm saying? I picture Mel with a blonde streak, but I had that one time. So, you learn that and you begin to become comfortable in your own skin. And that's what it's about, understanding not to pay attention to the peer pressure, because there's a lot of times people envy you for being able to be yourself. I mean, you would be surprised how many people envied me when I was a younger person, for just being able to be myself. I wasn't always right, I wasn't always exact, but there's a lot of people who wanted to be like me and who was jealous of me because I was who I was, and I didn't care, about certain things. Now, did I fall victim to certain pressures with relationships and stuff like that, and issues with my weight and stuff like that? Yeah, of course, there was that. But then also too, I had people around me who cared. I had ways to separate myself from that. I never really tried to seek the love and affection of people that really didn't mess with me like that. I didn't mess with you. You didn't mess with me. It was all good. And I think that's lacking nowadays with you youngsters out there. Yeah, because I want to entertain people my way and not sell out and be for my viewers and puppets and so on to speak. Yeah, I could understand that soulless trench coat. But back to what I was saying. To you youngins out there, I think what's lacking is what's missing is the fact that, you know, it's okay not to have to be popular. And I get the pressures that you're going through right now, because with social media and stuff like that, you have to portray this image that everything is fine, everything is all right, or it's lit, or I got the sauce, or everything is always all good. And you want to prevent the Instagram life and whatnot. On one instance, you got pictures of you and expensive locations and all this other crazy stuff, but really realistically you broke and you depressed behind the scenes. I say learn to love yourself. I'm talking to the young kids out there. Learn to love yourself first. Learn to appreciate yourself. Learn to see your life and what it's worth, for what it is. Learn to appreciate your family and the friends that accept you for you. Don't worry so much about trying to be the hip and the cool kids and whatnot. I'm somebody who's sat with both of them. Sometimes the cool kids are the most boring. Sometimes the boring kids, or the so-called nerds and weirdos, are the best ones to hang out with. Some of my best friends are weirdos, or people that folks wouldn't walk down the street with. But those are people who would die for me. No, those speak of the dark sauce. Yeah, I got the sauce, Soulless Triskel. I got the sauce. I got the sauce. But you know how that go. It's a random conversation. Sorry about that. But if I wanted to, I could have the sauce. Anyway, yeah. Forgive me for bringing out the sauce. But let me chew this. Sorry about that. I don't like to talk and chew at the same time. Yeah, I know I got the sauce, Lulu. But anyway, too much sauce. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, it comes down to a point where, for you youngins out there, pew pew. Hashtag Ralph. It's come drone worship with too much sauce. Drone worship with too much sauce. Anyway, yeah, it was too much buffering on your live stream. DMs mix up. Namaste. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you. Always a pleasure to see you. Always a pleasure to see you. Well, yeah, let me say back to what I was saying. Yeah, too much sauce. Yeah, Molly Dolly, that's what it is. Back to you youngins out there, and hopefully this reaches you. It's okay to be different. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to feel like you don't fit in. It's okay. Too much buffering because I'm running my streams at 1080p. You should talk to your cell phone carrier. Well, listen, my cell phone carrier is, and I'm going to say this, and hopefully you catch this. My cell phone carrier is superior around the world. Now, see, I don't know about your provider, your internet provider. It may be just a flat rate somewhere, but I got this going on around the world. So, I'm not going in 1080p drone worship. That's all I'm going to say about that. No pressure. But anyway, hopefully you caught that. Drone worship. Pew pew. Yeah. So, like I was saying, every bagel was good today. Sorry about that. I'm getting distracted eating this bagel, but I haven't forgotten. Too much sauce. Excuse me. I'm sipping coffee and eating bagels on you. No, I want to stop by for support. Dropped the like. I hope everything's doing well. Yeah, we're doing well, Fury. Thank you for coming through. And one for you telling you eating a bagel. I'm eating a bagel because I got too much sauce during worship. I'm eating a bagel at 1:38 Eastern Coast Standard Time. East Coast Standard Time. Because I am who I am. I do my own thing over here, drone worship. And hopefully you do too. I hope you do. I feel no pressure to conform. The sauce must die in the fire. No. I'm sorry, Soulless Triskel. I got too much sauce. With too much sauce. And too much sauce. It's too much sauce. Oh my God. All right, bro, stand up and do the breakfast New York crip walk. No. I say that for Cali. I actually know how to crip walk. But I used to know how to crip walk. That's a long story for another time. But anyway, peace and love to all my gang members out there. You know what I'm saying? you know, to my essays, you know, vatos locos, hola le, arriba, la raza. But anyway, you know how that goes, you know, for my Mexican people. Um, I love you too. That was when you was just no big Mel. Hey, just us Hambricks. It's good to see you with too much sauce. With too much sauce. Hambricks, I'm here with too much sauce. Ha! With too much sauce. Anyway, um, I'm chilling. I have my bagel, I have my coffee, and it's all good. Yeah. Peace and love. Peace and love. Yeah, too much that I hear. Yeah. Nah. Fury. It's all good. Anyway, let me get back. Let me get back focused to what I was talking about. Good afternoon to Cab 7. Appreciate you. Someone's going to remix this stream, and you're going to be famous for the wrong reasons. Yeah, that's gonna happen. Oh, you didn't hear about the Lurker song? We're supposed to be doing too much sauce. It's hard to explain Justice Hambricks. There's too much sauce. I got too much swag, too much magic, too much goodness, too much all around stuff. Anyway, back to what I was saying about peer pressure and whatnot. You know, let me get back to the youth. This is something I said. I'm just basically reiterating myself. You know, it's a situation where, you know, to the youth, you want to learn to deal with these issues and stuff like, yeah, Lurkers Remix 2018. I got a verse coming for you, Crimson Fantasy, if you're still out there. I'm gonna put something. Chuck Norris dripped one piece of sweat on Mel Mel, and now he thinks he's the yes. Chuck Norris dripped his sweat on me, and I got too much sauce. But we're gonna say that, you know. And good afternoon to you, Cap 7. Hopefully all is well with you, you know. But for like I said, peer pressure. How does peer pressure shape us as adults? It shapes us as adults, you know, in a way where we develop insecurities, and we, you know, develop these fears or phobias, or just, you know, I guess harsh faults, or views of ourselves that are not true. We create alternate realities and personalities about ourselves that we shouldn't, based off of things that we haven't dealt with, and you know, addressed. You know, sometimes you have to address. Yes, it can ruin your life if you let it. I agree, just as Hambricks. You know, it comes to a situation where issues that you probably should have faced when you were back in primary school or junior high school or high school, you know, you're now facing in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and stuff like that. And it becomes more of a challenge sometimes, you know, as you get older, because really what you're doing is you're in your mind. You're in your mind struggling and battling with stuff in your mind that doesn't exist anymore. It's like with me, with the issues that I had with my weight and stuff like that. You know, the reality is I avoided being in relationships because of, you know, okay, I gain weight, I lose weight, or, you know, there's pressure because now certain women don't like you, or whatever the case may be, you know. And, you know, you begin to develop, what was the word? What was the word that they used? Not phobias, not even, it's a stigma. You begin to develop stigmas and stuff like that that can stay with you well into adulthood. And you have the stigma or the stigmata, you know, like I like stigmata, but stigma, you know, about who you are, these insecurities that develop, and these things in your mind that you're struggling with that don't mean anything. Because think about it, these issues that you were dealing with when you were around all these different people, all these young people, you know, in school, some of these people don't even survive to the 50s and 60s, or, you know, or the 30s and 40s. There's people who I've had issues with that aren't even alive, you know, and I'm sitting there worrying about all these issues and stuff like that and not overcoming these things. I was bullied for being a virgin in high school and harassed. Yeah, and he shouldn't have been, just as Hambricks. You shouldn't have been. But the reality is that's what happens. All right, gotta go. Have a nice day. Stay frosty. Stay frosty, trench coat. Appreciate you for coming through. True boss. I see you, John Hoke, like true boss. You know, so what happens is like, if you don't deal with these situations and face these fears, and understand that it's normal to be, you know, feeling like an outcast, or it's normal to, you know, be, you know, judged because you're different and whatnot, and stand up to folks, you know, being able to stand up to folks and say, you know what, if I'm a virgin, or if I'm gay, or if I'm religious, or if I'm different, if I'm poor, if I come from another background, or if I'm a different race than you, it's okay, because I am who I am and you are who you are. You know, it's, I mean, and I say this to the kids specifically. It's okay to be who you are. It's okay to figure out who you are, what you are, what's going on. You have to live with you, and those folks have to live with them and who they are. You know, so don't be afraid to be yourself. Now, the only thing, as I say, is, don't go out there trying to do any harm to anybody or whatever the case may be. But that's a different maybe piece of the conversation or whatever that goes a little deeper and whatever the case may be. Like I said, because I was asked to talk about this last night on my last live stream, and Lulu was there. About how peer pressure shapes us as adults. Peer pressure shapes us as adults is to it can either build us up, you know, with our strengths, learning to face our fears, learning to face our insecurities, learning to stand up to people. Like Justice Hamburg, she's really good with standing up, because I remember there's a couple of live streams we had, and she made it clear that she's about certain things, and I appreciate her for standing up and voicing her opinion and her point of view about who she was and who she is and how she maneuvers in her life. And it's important to do that and to be able to do that, because if you're not, it can affect you. It can affect you, well into your adult years, well into your 30s and your 40s and your 50s. You know, yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Being 5 feet tall and having to fight dudes who came off the girls' locker room was a challenge. Yeah, well, I'm sorry you had to go through that, Justice. But like I said, unfortunately, we have some horrific situations. Like I'll tell you about one of the situations that I faced when I was younger. I remember we used to play basketball, and I wanted to play basketball, in junior high school, and this affected me really, really hard too. I went and we played like shirt versus skin. So basically, like you have your shirts on. One team has the shirts on, other team, those shirts on. And when we switched over, I basically took my shirt off, and we went to go play, and the kids kind of teased me, and I felt bad. I felt bad, so I left, because like I said, the insecurities of just oh, you got weighed or whatever the case, you look a certain way. So I know, believe me, I know what it's like, and sometimes you have to really face those fears and be okay with who you are. I started just like a boy and act like one too. Yeah, sometimes you develop certain defenses and blocks and barriers and whatnot. And I understand where you're coming from, just us, Hamburgs. That's one of the things that happens too as an adult. Sometimes you start to put up certain defenses and blocks and barriers, and you kind of become standoffish. You have these defenses, and you put up these walls to protect yourself. Sometimes we put up too many walls to protect ourselves, versus being balanced, because there's times when you need to be open, there's times when you need to be cautious, there's times when you need to pull away. And sometimes those sensibilities are gone because we're too caught up in our insecurities. There's things that even today I struggle with issues with weight and stuff like that, and whether or not you're good enough for particular relationships and whatnot. But you learn to overcome that with time, and some things you struggle with your whole life, but you have to always be willing to be open to the fact that, or you should be open to the fact that some of those issues and things that mattered back in the time when you were young, when you were impressionable and developing, don't matter, and nor do they exist only in your mind. I have issues with people and things like that don't even exist no more, that aren't even relevant, that you just have to get over. I've had problems with people who don't even remember my name. I've had issues, like I remember when I was in school, there was this kid in the classroom. I asked him for some paper, and he had a stack of paper, and he told me no, he didn't have any paper. So me being who I am at the time, I snatched the paper. I said, "Stop playing." I snatched the paper off the top of the papers, and that started a whole beef. And it went into something after school, and basically, it was a beef that lasted for years. And now I see this person. This person don't even remember my name. The person, he would walk up to me and shake my hand and call me somebody else's name. So you sit there worrying about stuff that don't matter. I've always been tomboyish, but I had to get it where folks consider me a full lesbian boyish. Things happen, things happen, Justice Hamburgs. Like I said, if you are, then you are. If you're not, then you're not. People consider, and these are things that, you know, we learn to deal with and whatnot. It's like I said, sometimes you find yourself just dealing with certain situations in a way where it may be the best way or may not be the best way, but this is your life, and you only get one. So I just say I see too many people afraid to just be themselves, out there. Too many people afraid to take on the challenges of life and say, you know what, I am different. This is who I am. This is my life. Win, lose, or draw. give or take. This is where I come from. This is who I am, and it is about acceptance of yourself. Yeah, no, you have to be yourself, Cap Seven. I mean, and a lot of people are afraid to be themselves. A lot of people are spending time, trying to be something that they're not. And that's ultimately what happens if you want to know how peer pressure can affect you ultimately moving forward. I had to get into a fight every year to make my point. Sometimes I did it on purpose. A ton of pressure, be hard with a ton of pressure, be hard or hood. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. I definitely agree with that, Justice Hamburg. It can be something like that. But ultimately, what happens with peer pressure as you're young, if you don't deal with it, check it, face it, and really get with it. What's going on, Facer? I see you. Thanks for coming through. What ultimately happens with peer pressure, as you're young, or the things that we deal with in school, if we don't face them, if we don't deal with them and address them, we find ourselves as adults trying to be people that we're not. Not everyone accept me as I am, and I have learned to accept that many years ago. Yeah, well, Cab, but the important thing is that you accept you for you, whoever you are. And I say that to any and everybody out there, it will be your label for life in some cases. Yes, what's going on? I think that's Red Dragon, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I just see two dots there. But for the most part, when it comes to peer pressure and how we let it affect us and the things that happen, is that if you're not careful, you wind up becoming somebody that you don't recognize in the mirror. And as it turns into, a lack of confidence or manipulation or just a fear or insecurities as you get older, those that know me for many years accept me as I am. Yeah, that's what's up, Kev. That's what's up. You got to be who you are. We have to instill in our kids now to be leaders and to love themselves and respect themselves. I definitely agree, Facer. And I think a lot of that is missing nowadays, that these kids, they don't feel like, they can be themselves. They feel like they have to be somebody else. They feel like they look on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, even here on YouTube, and you have to mimic and copy and escape yourself and whatnot and stuff like that. It's okay to be yourself. I say that to the adults in the room. I say that to the kids out there in the world. I say that to the elderly. It's okay to be yourself, just as long as you ain't out there hurting and killing nobody. You ain't no serial killer or nothing like that. But no terrorist or nothing. But okay, that's Fat Boy. Okay, I don't know who it was. Oh, I see the name now. What's up, Fat Boy? It's been a while. But um, it comes down to like I said, what are you willing to face? Who are you willing to be as it pertains, to your life? Because it's okay. It's more than okay for you to be who you are, especially if you're not out there hurting and killing and going after and trying to take down anybody and whatnot. You have to deal with your life and the decisions and the choices that you make based upon who you are and what you do. And I think a lot of times it's not said enough in society, especially to you young kids out there. And like I said, I know there's no young kids watching now, but I was called a too blunt hippie, aka mean. I never consider myself as such, but do like okay. Well, people will categorize you in a certain way, and it's like something I said on Twitter, just as Hambers. I said, you'll be judged, but the important thing is to know who you are, you know, the self in any situation. Not like I said, it's not important to be categorized and known as other people, know you, because everybody has what they think they know about you. Like I said, I'm interested in understanding who I am and knowing the truth of who I am in any situation. Even you on this chat, people may say, "Oh, Mel is nice, he's wise, he's this, that, and the third." It's important for me to know what I am in this moment. It's important for me to understand who I am in this moment, not what other people may think they know about me. And it's cool. Like I said, it's cool, when people are saying good things or whatever, but I try not to get distracted by it. He says, I am old enough to say there was say I was there during the hippie days. That's funny. That's funny. Peace to the hippies. And does blunt equal rude, or do you consider it to be honest? Well, Justice Hamburgs, I'll say it like this. Sometimes being blunt can be rude because not everybody can handle the truth. You have some people out there who will go commit suicide if you're brutally honest with them because they may not have been trained to handle the truth. They may not have been trained to see things as it is, unequivocally. Would you look at the term blunt as a negative term? Blunt honesty is not always a negative term, but you know, when you see how you know, like the effect of a blunt instrument used incorrectly can kill somebody. A blunt instrument used in the proper sense can just knock somebody out, you know, sedate them or whatever the case may be. It's not better to sugarcoat. It's like this. Sometimes you have to be metaphoric. Sometimes you have to be indirect. And I'm somebody who had to learn this because I was very direct with people. I used to be to the point where I didn't care about your feelings. I didn't care about your thoughts. I didn't care where you were coming from. I'm just going to give you the straight up truth. No chaser. You know, you're going to have it. There it is. Too much sauce. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, you know, and then like I had to be pulled to the side. I had to be, you know, let and told everybody can't handle that. Even with me, you know, I could sit there and say, oh yeah, it's truth, is this, is that, it's straight up. There's certain things have said to me. If I'm not ready to handle it, it can collapse. It can fold you. It can make you disappear as a human being. There's things that if it's said to us, you know, any one of us will have us hide. I'm working on being straight from my mind. Well, hold on, what did I say now? I'm working on not being straight from mind to mouth. Well, it takes time. It takes time. Sometimes you use stories, just as Hambrooks. You can use stories. You can use metaphors. You can use examples. Learning to read the room before responding. You can respond to people with truth, and that's the thing, Justice Hambrooks. But you don't have to give them a direct truth. You know, coming from your mouth to their ears, and it's just directly about them. There's times when you can tell stories about another person that relates to a particular person that you're talking to. You know, I could sit there and relate to any one of you in this chat, which I probably already have, about particular things using somebody else's story. And I'm not sugarcoating anything. I can't sugarcoat, though. That's lying to me. No, you don't sugarcoat. What you do is like parables. I mean, I don't know if anybody read the Bible, but Jesus spoke in parables. Jesus spoke in parables for a specific reason, because if he spoke directly to the people, there's folks that would go out there and they would have hung themselves. You know, they would have jumped in a river somewhere and jumped into a fire because it's too much truth. It's too much sauce. You know, so it's a situation where you have to read the room, see what's going on. You know, and just deal with it in that way. You know, speak indirectly. I'm a poet, so I understand the effectiveness of figurative language, of metaphor, of simile, you know, of innocence, of riddles, you know, of parables. I understand the effectiveness of it, you know. So parables equals to seeing the forest through the trees. Yes, you know, and that's sometimes what you have to do. You know, sometimes in my live stream, and I need to do more of it. I mean, like I said, I'll give examples. You know, I've even given you examples in my live stream when I told you stories about myself. You know, I'm giving you stories about myself to talk directly to the people in the live stream. You know, I'm talking directly to some of you, but I'm talking indirect, right? Some are so sensitive that others, if they give hard truth, you better have the thick skin. Yeah, not everybody has thick skin. Not everybody can take it. And guess what? Not everybody's supposed to have thick skin. Some people have been through horrific situations. I'm normally straight up, no chasing, I don't respond, but I've always listened to understand first, but I'm always honest. But see, here's the thing, Justice Hambrooks. I want you to be always honest, and I encourage people to always be honest, but it's wisdom. Wisdom is justified. Wisdom is justified of her children, as it is written. And being direct, right, can hurt people. It's just like you go up to a child. If you're constantly direct with a child, right, and you're telling a child things that they can't comprehend or understand, and you hitting them with just raw truth and no empathy and no understanding and teaching and how things are supposed to work, that child can grow up with astigmatism. That child can become suicidal. That child can become depressed. That child could have stigmas. That child could have all kind of screwed up stuff going on in their head because you didn't take the time out to realize that sometimes you have to spoon feed a person. You know, sometimes you have to take the food, you know, like with a baby. This was something that was given to me recently, and I knew about this. It's like when you're feeding a baby food. You know, a baby has no teeth, so the baby can't eat the food. So what you do is you mash up the food, and now you give it to them in baby food. You know what I'm saying? And then as time goes on, as the child can eat more solid food, then you begin to give them a little bit more and a little bit more to the point where now they can have a whole meal. You know, so now, you know, even you can give them a little sweet snack. You know, but the thing is, it comes in pieces. You have to know who you're talking to. That's why I'll give you that just us. what you said was wise in there. You said, I got to feel out the room and see before I respond. Sometimes, listen, sometimes you're in a room full of thick-skinned people, but that's when it gets scary. I get scared a little bit when I'm in a room full of people who, yeah, I believe in empathy. It's a large part of who I am. There you go, Cal. I get scared sometimes when I'm in a room full of people with thick skin. Because guess what? When you're in a room full of people with thick skin, that's when it gets raw. That's when it ain't nowhere for nobody to hide. That's when you're going to find out some things about yourself. I'm in a room full of thick skinned people that's just giving out raw truth. They coming. I got to be ready. I got to be, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, yo, like, whoa. I'm like, trying to fight back tears because there's no way to hide, and you have to be prepared for that. That's why I tell anybody, yeah, you can give it out straight with no chaser. You can hit them, but you better be ready for it to come back. That's why when I be hitting people, when I be coming at people, I say, yeah, take this, and I say to people, give it to me straight. You got to be ready for that. That's how people have always gave it to me. Yeah, but see, I get you, but the thing is also too, all Chiefs, no Indians. There you go. But you got to remember, not everybody has the same strength. That's what I had to learn. Not everybody has the same strength. Not everybody has the same ability to take on everything. It's just like you just us Hambricks. It's like you're strong. You have strength as a woman in your own right, which is great. But not every woman has your strength, and you don't have every woman's strength. So, people are different. Just like as a man, I have things that make me strong as a man that maybe that other people don't have. There's certain strengths that Cap 7 has that I don't have. There's certain strengths that, Facer has that I don't have and stuff like that. Everybody has different strengths. Everybody has different understandings. Everybody has different, but talking through builds you stronger. Yes, it does. It does. But you get to that point. So that's what I would say to you, Justice Hambricks, is that you have to lead a person to that point to where they can take it, or to where you can come to them and be that point. Because I say to a person, I'll say to them this. If I'm going to hit them with some real raw truth, I'll say this, something like this, and you could phrase it any way you want. I'll say, look, the things that I'm going to say to you may be harsh. Are you sure? I'll ask a person, if I'm about to hit them with something and I'm not sure that they can handle it, I'm going to ask them, are you sure? Before I hit them with. Now, if a person tell me they sure and they want it like that, then I give it to them. In my mind, that's not life. Life has come so raw, no Vaseline, so that's how it's helping in real life. Well, your life and how you come with it is different. How it helps just us, is that you ease somebody into a point to where they can see it as it is, because everybody is not ready. Some people, and I know this better than you, Justice Hambricks, because I work in New York. I've seen it. I've seen it with rich people, some people that don't even understand the conversation we having. There's some people who are so in a bubble. There's some people who are so in their own world that they don't understand the struggles that we as regular people go through. I guess because everyone has their own reality. And sometimes that's what it is. Yes, and I agree with Faces. Sometimes it is that, how people perceive it and stuff like that. Sometimes people have their own reality. Sometimes people want to get out of the kiddie pool and they want to go into the deep water, such as yourself, just us. But not everybody wants to go into the deep water. Sometimes you have to lead people up to the deep water out of the kiddie pool to let them know, look, things is deeper. It's much deeper than you thought. Like somebody has said, it's realer than you know. Life is realer than you know. Empathy and a kick in the pants can work together to be balanced mind. It all depends on the hand you were dealt, I suppose. Yes, it does. It does, Justice. It depends on the hand you were dealt, because some people were not prepared in a raw, straight, no chaser way. Some people were given kid gloves. And I know we've all heard this phrase before. Some people were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. If you slip, you better be ready. If you slip, you better be ready to grasp it. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I say it's a situation where, like I said, it is that whole thing from was it a few good? Was it a few good men, or is it Officer and a Gentleman? No, it's not Officer and a Gentleman. I think it was A Few Good Men. Where with the Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, scene where he says, "I want the truth," and then he's like, "You can't handle the truth," And when he start hitting them with the truth, the raw truth, even though you think you can handle it, sometimes it comes in a way where this is what's really going on, and sometimes it's taking you aback, and you need time to adjust to what's going on. There's things in our life that if we were hit with it raw, without any preparedness, without any strength being built up, it would crush us. I don't care who you think you are. I don't care what you say. There are things about each and every one of you in this chat, things about me, things about anybody out there in this world that if it just came to you and you wasn't prepared for it, it will crush you. It would crush you. Whatever it is. All right, you guys stop at this point. Yeah, Facer. Take care, man. Appreciate you for coming through. So it is that situation where, like I said, just us. So, sometimes things have to be indirect. I guess that's how it come. People who are so familiar with the struggle, Kim well, tend to have thick skin. Yeah, I agree with you on that, just us. But everybody's not built for that. Everybody's not. That's why somebody like me and you, just us, sometimes we may not feel all that comfortable in a soft setting, in a situation where people are living in a bubble. I had to learn how to deal with that. See, there's one situation where, okay, you can deal with the raw, when it's raw, when it's real, when it's straight up, you can deal with that. But then when you're in a political environment, when you're in an environment when people are being fake and the reality is not real, and things are just not up to board. That's one of the reasons why I didn't even want to be online half the time, because things are so fake on here, man. It's so much fakeness, it's so much falseness, it's so much, innuendos and gossip and all this other stuff. Sometimes I don't want to be involved. Like I said, I miss a lot of the drama that goes on because I don't care. I really don't care. I come on here to do my thing. I come on here to be who I am, but sometimes, you see it happening, and sometimes you have to move through it. You learn, like Jay-Z said, I learned how to move through a room full of vultures. Not saying anybody is vultures. I can't deal with the soft atmosphere. I can't spot the fakeness from a mile away. But guess what? Sometimes you got to walk through those fakeness situations, and sometimes that's a place of work. Sometimes those are family members. Sometimes those are, old friends. Sometimes those are situations that, you have to deal with and you have to learn to maneuver through. You have to. Somebody has to do it. It's not always fun and comfortable, but it happens. It comes. So I guess for people like us, Just Hambricks, we want the straight up raw. Listen, I love anybody that tell me the truth. Even if me and you don't get along, if you can come, yeah, right, I don't, listen, if I don't like you and you tell me the truth, I appreciate you and respect you more than if me and you get along and I love you and I care about you and you constantly lying to me. I can't stand that. People don't take the time to get to know one another. We don't know what someone's life is like away from the computer. I agree with you, Cab. I mean, it's a reality. Like I said, and it's crazy. It's crazy what somebody's life is like away from the computer. But that's the type of world we live in now. I mean, you can be whoever you want to be online now. I mean, like somebody was saying, a rapper was saying, he says, nowadays it's not about who you was, it's about who you telling people you are now. And you can become anybody on this computer. There's a lot of fakeness. I mean, if anything that I try to do with you folks, with my content, with who I am, I try to present the real me all the time. Even if I'm playing a character, even if I'm doing the big bad booty daddy or I'm Brother Mel or whatever the case may be, I have the gift of discernment, so I'm rarely wrong about a person, after they speak for 5 minutes. That's cool. That's an awesome gift to have. Just as Hambricks, I wouldn't tell too many people I have that, but that's an awesome gift to have if you can discern. But for me, I'm very transparent. So anybody that knows me and sees me, sometimes I'm too transparent. I've been told that. Sometimes I may give a little too much, and I have to pull back on that one. But I'm not hard, Yeah, I let her talk. Yeah. Like I said, it is what it is. But like I said, so I'm going off on a tangent. But you know what it is, just us, and online it's so much BS. So much BS. I mean, we could do a whole live stream on the BS that you see online, the fakeness, the falseness, the fake smiles, the fake love, the fake subscribers, the hateful comment. I also believe people change the path. It's not always straight. There are curves along the way. One day we might like salad, the next day we don't like it. Yeah, it could be like that, Cap. It could be like that. People change over time, it was a song from this R&B group, Jagged Edge and a couple other folks, and they had a line in there. It says, Seasons change and people do too. You know what I'm saying? I'm a firm believer of when people show you who they are, believe them. Ooh, ooh, Lulu. Oh, Lulu, just drop some truth. You talking my language, Lulu. You talking my language, Lulu. Love you. I love you for that one. Yes, yes. I had to learn that the hard way. The last couple of years, I had to learn that the hard way. And Lulu, you could say that again to people. You could type that again if they haven't heard you. What Lulu was saying is something that is very, very important. Very important. I'm glad she said it. When people tell you who they are, I know you have the gift of discernment, Justice Hambricks, but there's a time when you don't have to discern anything, because this is a lesson, one of the first lessons I had to be taught as an adult when I was growing up, or getting older, getting into adulthood, is that in the creep of somebody's voice, if you listen long enough, people will tell you who they are. I had to learn this with family members. When someone show you who they are, believe them. I agree with you. I had to learn this with family members recently. I've had family members. Karma from God and karma from the universe is why disability, diseases, karma is undefeated, and you can run and hide, but eventually we get you be right back. I have witnessed that all too well. Interesting comments. But let me get back to what Lulu was saying, because Lulu said something real. I've witnessed this with family members and stuff like that. People I know recently is that people will tell you who they are, and we have a tendency as folks, as people, not to believe them. Sometimes people will tell you that they want to be reckless. Sometimes people tell you that they want to go down a dark path, but you're putting your own sensibilities, your own moralities on the people. You're putting your own wisdom, your own feeling of things on these folks, and you're giving people too much credit. I'm guilty of this. I'm very guilty of this, and I've been told about this. Even till this moment, I've been told about this. Where you're giving people too much credit on who you think they are as opposed to who they actually are. I've had people that I've known personally where I'm putting my sensibilities and I'm trying to build the right person up, and this is who they really are and who they really gonna be, and they telling me, no, Mel, this is not. I'm reckless. I'm dangerous. I will hurt you. I will take you down a dark path. And I'm like, no, but I can see it, and you good, and there's something in your heart, and it's like, nah, you're not seeing. What you're seeing is that's in your own mind. That's who you are. That's not who I am. But nah, I see it in you. It's there. You just got to shine a little bit more. Believe in yourself some more. And they telling you, they saying, look, I believe everything is possible that you're saying, Mel. But here's the thing. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that. This is who I want to be, and that's what it goes to that. I'll say that to what Lulu was saying. So when people tell you who they are, when people show you who they are, believe that. Believe that. I recently discovered the true self of others. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's harsh sometimes. It hurts. When somebody is not who you thought they were, but I rather know a person, as they are, even if I don't like what I see, than to be fooled and deceived. Because there's people that'll sit there with you. You'll think they're your best peoples. I've been hurt hard. I've been betrayed. I know. I don't want to. I want to talk about. I want to start fighting back tears now. I know what it's like to be betrayed. I know what it's like to sit there with somebody. Somebody has betrayed you, and they'll shake your hand, and they'll look in your face, and they'll act like they're your friend, your homie, your man. I know exactly what that feels like. So when Lulu said that hits home. I know exactly what it is. People I see in the street, they gotta cross to the other side because it might be a problem. That's how deep that goes. It might be a problem. I see a couple of folks out there, and if they're watching this live stream, it might still be a problem. So, and this is offline. I ain't talking to nobody online, but it's just it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. So I know about that. When people tell you who they are, believe it, man. Because I'd rather you tell me who you are. I'd rather you show me who you are. And so we can sit down on the different sides or the same side that we on, you know, than to be in my face fronting and faking it, man. Because, man, man, as people, as people, we do some crazy things to each other, man. We do some effed up stuff sometimes as to each other as people, man. Sometimes we do some real effed up stuff, and it's sad. I have lost people in my life that I thought were friends, yet as people fooled by the fakeness. Well, I mean, it's rough. It's rough, man. It's rough. I'm not even gonna sit here and play games. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's rough. It hurts. You want some raw truth, Justice Hammers? It hurts when people, you know, that you thought were friends, or people that you thought were down for you, people that you thought you saw eye to eye, you know, just take it for granted. Spit in your face, your eye. I don't know I spit in my face, but you know what I mean. Verbally, metaphorically. I have learned from experience that there's so many fake people, so many fake friends that I really don't want to see, that I want to see fall. That's why I don't tell people anything that I'm doing until it's done. Sometimes you have to be like that, just sometimes you have to be like that. Sometimes what I realized, because I used to hang around with a lot of folks. So any given time, I used to literally be just walking around in the streets with anywhere from 10 to 20 different people, man. We was out there. I used to be the hangout guy, I guess the hangout youngin. And things change, man. Things change. People go as interests change. As seasons change, we change too. And to be fair, it hasn't always been them. It's been me as well. I've done stupid stuff. So to be fair, I'm not saying everybody's done me wrong. They want to see you doing bad because they're doing bad. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I say if anyone can accept me as I am, then move along. Well, hey, I mean, it's like that a lot in life. I say that as well, Cab, but, you know, sometimes we have to remember the part we played in a particular situation as well. So I'll say to anybody out there, I don't just blame them. I see the part that I played in it, because I had to learn before I look at the other person and get mad and blame them. I have to look at the part that I played in that particular situation, which I did a live stream about this, a while back. Margie, where have you been? Thank you for coming through. I did a live stream about this not too long ago, about how much of it was my fault, and anybody can go back through the April live streams, and see, that one. And I was serious, how much of it, is me. Yeah, the law of reflection. You want to reflect, because I can't assume in a situation when things fell apart that it was just all me. I mean, it was just all me. Oh well, yeah, it wasn't just all me, but it wasn't all them either. It was a combination. It takes two to make a thing go right. It takes two to make things go wrong. So let's not be ignorant of that fact. So it is a situation where I modestly self-efface and I ask myself, where did I go wrong? Then I begin to look at what another person did. And there's times when I may have been too naive. There's times when I may have been too trusting. There's times when I may have just been ignorant in the situation and not paid attention at all. So that's just something there. Being realistic. I mean, because sometimes realistically, just us. Sometimes we're able to give the blunt truth, the direct truth to somebody else, but we don't give the direct truth to ourselves. This is your story. There is my story. Then there's the truth. Well, I only want the truth. I don't want my story, Cab 7. I mean, my story can be fantastical. It can be poetic. It can be exaggerated. It can be totally untrue. It could be a master fabrication. My end. And on their end, it could be the same. I want the truth. I want the raw stuff. I want the things that I don't want to hear, the things that I may not be able to handle. I want it uncut. I want it without mixture. I want it to be a situation where it humbles me and forces me to change and forces me to become who I need to be. That's why I love anybody that's going to give me the truth. If you're going to give me the truth about you, about life, about whatever, yeah, you have to check yourself. Like people that want to be my friends, which I had learned, if you want to be my friend, you have to have the ability to check yourself. I shouldn't have to come and check you all the time. I shouldn't have to come and remind you when you're screwing up when you know better. You know, I shouldn't have to be that person. If you can check yourself, if you can be honest and come back and be realistic about what you've done at any point, then you can be my friend all the way. All the way. No hands, nothing. No if, ands, or buts about it. But if you can't be realistic with yourself, if you're gonna lie to yourself, then I know it's only a matter of time before you lie to me. Let's just be real. If you lying to yourself, then you're gonna lie to me at some point. Because the worst lies that we tell are not to other people. I said this many times. The worst lies that we tell are to ourselves. And you don't have to take my word for it. Some people only want you around so you can check them. Yeah, I'm not here to check you. Sometimes you can't check a person. Sometimes people don't want to hear it. I mean, I've tried to check people. Sometimes people don't want to hear it. You try to check them and they tell you why I don't need another father. You ain't my daddy. And guess what? I'm not your father. I'm not your daddy. Like I said, you got to do what you got to do. Modesty, self-effaced, be responsible. Name what you tell them. Name what you tell them, and that's what's the right and wrong, and they want to do what not to do. We do not need the approval from others. Exactly. We do not need approval from others, but that's what comes down to. It comes down to being able to approve of yourself. Approve of yourself. Being able to be real and be honest with yourself. And a lot of times people, lack that ability, that skill. They not named typo. Yeah. I got what you were saying, Justice Hamburgs. And that's just really what it comes down to. It comes down to, who do you want to be? How do you see things? Do you really want the truth? That's what I ask a lot of people. People say they want truth. They want it, straight up, and they want honesty, they want loyalty and whatnot. Do you really want that? Are you really about that? Because if you really want honesty and truth and loyalty and all this other stuff, it starts with yourself. I'll say to myself, it starts with me. When I turn on this live stream, when I turn off this live stream, Ice is back, baby. Wow. I appreciate you for still being sub to me. And I think I'm still sub to you. It's all good. Nothing but peace and love to you. But yeah, I tell anybody that's looking for loyal friends, for truth, for honesty, for peace, for love. The question is, can you love and be honest and truthful and peaceful with yourself? If you can, then you can with me. Let me see that last comment. Some people only call me for advice, blunt, then say I'm too blunt. Yeah, well, hey, I say ask them. Yeah, consistency is important. I say to them, just as Hamburgs, I would say to them, you ask them before they ask you for that blunt advice. I say, are you sure? I would ask the permission first. If somebody calls me and asks me, to give it to me straight, I had to hang up. That means I was on here too long. Anyway, spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. Take care.